Hello, my royal lovelies. Welcome back to the channel, and of course, welcome to my home. Today, we are filming on Valentine's Day, so I want to challenge you to comment on all the different symbols of love that I have placed within this video. So, without further ado, this is a clutching your pearls kind of moment, isn't it, my loves? Because yesterday we had the news, and I always think it's good to leave a day maybe when there's sort of important news, but something that you want to kind of let sink in. And I felt yesterday that it was too soon to bring you a video from me on Harry and Meghan sort of 2.0, Megsy baby 2.0, because I felt that there was more details going to come to light, especially when things had been analysed a little bit. And I was right to do so, because now I think we have a lot more of the full picture to dissect and to talk about. So, there was talk about a relaunch of the Sussexes, but I don't think we expected it right now. I don't think we expected it in the form that it came. So, they relaunched themselves with basically a brand new umbrella website that sort of put all of their different things into one place. So a good idea on the face of it, but the things that made people clutch their pearls in shock and horror and almost disbelief was the fact that they are quite obviously and literally playing on their royal connections. Now go back to the sort of early days of Megxit, the Sandringham Agreement, the so-called Sandringham Summit, where all the senior royals at the time got together and sort of thrashed out this kind of exit deal. And one of the terms of the exit deal, and of course, we don't have all the details, but from what we do know, was that they were not allowed or permitted to use the word royal in any of their business adventures, shall we say. So they had to drop the Sussex Royal, and that's when they came up with Archewell, the Archewell Foundation, Archewell Productions, and Archewell Audio. And that is how it has been up until now. They have not been allowed to play or use their royal connections. The HRH was dropped. They still have the HRH, but they were not allowed to use it in sort of business capacities going forward. And then, of course, we had the 12-month review, which they still decided that they wanted to leave. And like I say, that's how it's been up until now. So the biggest thing for me is not that they've come up with a new website. To be perfectly honest, I don't think most people care about the website, to be quite honest. Isn't it the most boring website you have ever seen? It's literally a CV. It's a CV. Literally, they are begging for work, basically. Anyway, it's the most boring website ever. I mean, it's a landing page, to put it mildly. I don't think it's going to be setting anything alight. It's not particularly innovative. I mean, it's modelled on the Obamas. The Obamas have got the office of, Barack and Michelle Obama. So it is styled or presented in a kind of very official way, a royal way, or sort of that of a politician, which kind of signals, does Meghan really have political ambitions, or are they just playing on the royal connections? Are they trying to feel more self-important than what they actually are? I think they're out to impress people, but the problem is they're not impressing anybody because it just looks silly and petulant and ill-advised, to say the least. So the office of the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, they haven't used the HRH, which I'm glad to see. That would be blatant if they started using the HRH. Let's not discount that. We might get to the stage where they do start, and then I think the palace would have something to say. So the website itself, boring, bland, CV, listing all of their different things, sort of skirting over the royal family part, which is what you would kind of expect. Maybe one sentence given to Meghan's acting in Suits, all about her philanthropy, how wonderful Megsy baby is. Oh, I'm so wonderful. Oh, aren't I good? Oh, give me a break. Give me an absolute break. It's literally, they are blowing smoke up their own backsides. That's how gauche it is. Anyway, it's not classy at all. Absolutely not. So, the website I don't really care about. At least they've tried to separate out the Archewell non-profit tax, non-profit, from the productions part, because I think in the previous website there wasn't a lot of separation. I did comment when they first created it. Do you remember when he put the picture of Diana? Oh, I'm my mother's son, I'm my mother. Yes, you are your mother's son, because she could be a little bit hot-headed as well at times. William's got a touch of that too, but Harry takes the biscuit. So definitely, a little bit of his mother's son. But I said at the time that there wasn't a lot of separation between the non-profit and the money-making part of their operations. And I almost felt like they were trying to pull the wool over people's eyes, trying to think that, whatever they put out through the productions part is also part of the non-profit. So I thought it was very, very misleading. So they've got them all on the same landing page now, but at least it is a little bit more separated. They still have a link to Sussex Royal, which I was very surprised about, seeing as they said that they weren't able to use Sussex Royal. So to have that on their landing page is a little bit provocative, to say the least. And of course, it's still got all the information that used to have. I think maybe with a few minor tweaks, but that is still pretty much up there. So first of all, I don't think they should have linked back to Sussex Royal. I think that should be shut down. I mean, Sussex Royal, to be perfectly honest, should be shut down. What is the purpose of keeping it up? I think the main purpose is to put out their own PR propaganda. It's so that, people in the future, when they're writing biographies, can go there and get Harry's side of the story. So we've got the Sussex Royal website, we've got Spare, we've got the Oprah interview. What he's doing is trying to con basically future biographers into putting out or telling his side of the story as a truth. And of course, we all know that recollections indeed may vary. So I think that's the main reason for trying to hold on to Sussex Royal. But in my opinion, Sussex Royal should be defunct. It should be taken down. It doesn't serve them a purpose other than harking back to their former working royal life. So I think that should go. I think that is provocative in itself. Gone is the separation of Archewell Audio. I can't see sort of a link to Archewell Audio. Oh, by the way, the Sussex Royal thing is not showing up on my phone. So when you go to their sussex.com website, first of all, do not put I refuse to the cookies thing, because they use all your information for their own money-making ventures. So definitely click refuse when it comes to all the cookies and all that information that they store. So be very wary. Or just don't go to the website at all, my loves. Trust me, it's not worth going to at all. So I think that basically the Sussex Royal should be completely defunct. But on the phone, you can't see it. For some reason on my iPhone, I can't see it. But if you go to the desktop version, you do see the link to sussexroyal.com. That should go, first of all. The next thing I want to speak about is the royal coat of arms. So as we know, all of the royals have heraldry, and Meghan was gifted her own coat of arms in 2018, shortly before the wedding, which she used formally during her time as a working royal. Harry has his own, and they have a joint one together. So it's like both coats of arms kind of put together, joined up. So they can use it individually or together. Now, of course, they have not been using these kind of coat of arms in an official capacity since stepping back since the Sandringham Agreement. What we have seen is their monogram being used on letterheads, that kind of thing. But other than that, they've been using the kind of Archewell logo during that period. So to suddenly see a royal coat of arms, which is most definitely royal, they've got it because they are royal. Harry, through being Prince Henry, of course, the Duke of Sussex, and Meghan because she married him. So it was very, very surprising that they started to use it now. Of course, they are playing on their royal connections. They think it's going to give them more gravitas in Hollywood. Hollywood for Megsy baby. Oh, Harry, I think we need to use my monogram, my coat of arms. And that's another thing. They haven't even used the correct one. They haven't used their joint coat of arms. They've used Meghan's coat of arms. And I think that escaped a lot of people initially. But when I spotted it, I thought, that's Meghan's. That's definitely Meghan's. Where is Harry? So, they could have used their joint one. Now, what was the reason, do you think, for not using the joint one? Was Harry told by his father during that meeting that he couldn't use it? Was the whole purpose of going there so convoluted and so one-track minded and deceitful and deceptive that he went and asked whether or not he could use their coat of arms? Did the king say no, and then out of spite have they used Meghan's? But I would imagine that any use of any royal coat of arms would have been out of bounds and against the Sandringham Agreement. This is most definitely poking the bear. Now, it's up to the Lord Chamberlain, possibly under the direction of the king, it's definitely under the direction of the king, whether or not rules have been broken. Now, we don't know exactly what the terms of the Sandringham Agreement were, but we know that they cannot play on their royal connections for business purposes. Whether or not that extends to a landing page that hosts business ventures, we don't know because we are not the palace. So the palace know what the agreement was, and they will be deciding whether or not rules have been broken, whether or not they want to let it slide. Personally, I would say if you give an inch, they will take a mile. So my advice to the palace, my advice to the king would be to step in and say that you cannot use any form of royal connection, whether it be the coat of arms, reference to the HRH. You cannot use that in a business capacity, even if it's a web page that's hosting links to your business ventures. And I think that is the hinge point. So my advice would be to take action. I imagine they would be probably seeking some kind of legal advice during this period. So expect something maybe in a few weeks' time, maybe even within a few weeks' time. I think swift action is most definitely needed. Perhaps a cease and desist letter might be a decent warning for Harry and Meghan that they have gone too far. They've strayed too far to the border of where they can go, and they've pretty much crossed it. I think they have crossed it, really, and they are perilously close to really starting a serious debate on whether or not they should have their royal titles. I spoke in the past about it not wanting to turn the monarchy into Big Brother, into a contest that's a popularity contest where you vote people in and out. It's not an election. A monarchy is not an election. And to preserve a constitutional monarchy, sometimes there are characters in it that you don't like and that have done things that you do not endorse. We have that most definitely with lots of situations going on. And I think to go to the level of pulling titles puts the bigger picture of monarchy, the survival of long-term monarchy, in jeopardy. However, there is a point where Harry and Meghan push too far. They take too many liberties. And I think we are perilously close to that point where people will look at it and go, okay, they want their life, they want their money, they want to be able to try and do whatever they want to do. Fine, fair enough. But you don't do it off the back of your royal connections. And I think that they are this close to that being the case, and they are doing it themselves. They are provoking and pushing the buttons. If the people, the public, the British people get behind the notion that it is unthinkable for Harry and Meghan to use their royal titles to further their own careers, to make money, then it may be possible for Buckingham Palace and, of course, the government, because it has to come from the government, to start stripping titles. The Dukedom of Sussex, the HRH, which could be put, both of those could be put into abeyance or completely removed. And then, of course, removing any vestibule, if you like, not vestibule, any notion of being royal. They may as well be in a vestibule, to be quite honest. But, it could all be taken away. The place in the line of succession could be taken away. They're this close. And if there was a massive cry from the public to do this because it was unacceptable, unthinkable, then I think that would ensure that the survival of the monarchy goes ahead. And we could firmly, in our minds, put the issue of the Duke and Duchess of Sussex into a very compartmentalised box, shove it on a shelf and forget about it and move on. The royal family are doing their best to move on as best they can, but Harry and Meghan keep pushing those buttons. So not only do I think they should get rid of the Sussex Royal from the website, I also think they should remove Meghan's coat of arms. So it's not a joint coat of arms. Maybe in the future we'll find out why they didn't try and use a joint coat of arms. I suspect Harry was told categorically he wasn't allowed. So they decided to push on and use Meghan's. Oh, it's all about me. It's all about me, Maxie baby, the monster of Montecito. Yes. My goodness. So I was shocked to see her monogram, coat of arms, up there. And also, it is wrong in itself because it is still in the form that it was when we had Queen Elizabeth as monarch, when Harry was the grandson of a reigning sovereign. Harry is now the son of a reigning sovereign, and the coat of arms should be changed. Harry's should be changed, and also Meghan's should be updated. And there's been enough time for the heraldry to have been updated. Now, that has to be done officially, but with members of the royal family, even non-working members of the royal family, the heraldry is updated, fairly quickly. There isn't a lot of redesign to do. It's simple things like changing the coronet at the top from that of the grandson of a reigning sovereign to that of the son of a sovereign, changing things like the number of lapels from 5 to 3, just a few simple tweaks. And they are done. Harry and Meghan and William and Catherine and the King and the Queen will not have been put at the back of the queue. They will have all been at the front to get this done. So why choose to use an old version? Was it just purely a mistake, an oversight from Harry and Meghan's team? What was up with the proofreading? I mean, did Harry and Meghan even look at this before it was put out? And Harry most certainly should have spotted it. Or have there been delays with their heraldry being updated? Was there a block put on them by those high up in palace circles? At the moment, we don't know, but they are not using the correct one. It needs updating. In my opinion, they should stop using the coat of arms at all. Anything with a royal connection should go. Maybe they could carry on with their monogram, or maybe just come up with a completely different symbol, or have no symbol at all. They're trying to look more official, more statesman-like, more royal than ever before, because they know that is where they derive the interest from. Don't worry, people. This is not a reflection on Harry and Meghan being popular. This is a reflection on the royal family being popular. Because if the royal family, if the British monarchy was not popular and was not seen to be commercially marketable, Harry and Meghan would have sunk completely without a trace. The thing that is sinking Harry and Meghan is their own doing. It's not the royal connections. Interest was high when they first left. Now it is dwindling. We've seen Meghan. I mean, this was why the website came out when it did. Not only have they got the Invictus Games coming up, they're currently in Canada, but they wanted to launch Meghan's new venture. She has joined a new sort of, podcasting venture. And now she's going to bring back a brand new podcast. They're going to host Archewell Archetypes that was produced with Archewell Audio in conjunction with Spotify. They're going to now take all of those episodes. So maybe she has the rights to them. I don't know. Must have. And they're going to be... Every streaming platform will be subjected to Harry and Meghan's podcast. With all of her celebrity friends. Oh, you're going to come on my podcast. You're going to come on my podcast because you're my friend. No. I didn't watch it or listen to it on Spotify, and I certainly shan't be listening to it on any other streaming platform, that's for sure. So she's going to come up with a brand new venture. I imagine it'll be more of the same old boring woke rot. It'll be Meghan talking to her celebrity pals, moaning about the current state of affairs. It won't be anything different to that. You can pretty much bet your bottom dollar, if you like. I think they're clutching at straws. If Spotify couldn't make it work, what makes this new venture think that it will work? I mean, I'm just saying, Spotify is a major player in the podcasting streaming industry. If they couldn't make it work, how on earth is it going to work again? So I think there'll be a lot of hand-holding. Like I said, Archewell Audio seems to have vanished as a separate entity, and I think it's almost gone to Archewell Productions because it mentions podcast in its little bio. And by the way, on the website, the link you go to when it's Archewell Productions is it's one page. I can't find anything else on there. There's nothing about the personnel involved. I'm beginning to wonder whether or not anybody works for Archewell Productions anymore. I think it's just a front. I think with this new production, whatever it is that she's going to be making, I think they will be pretty much producing it and making it. All she'll have to do is turn up. I think that was part of the issue with Spotify, because Harry and Meghan can't produce a bowl of cereal, let's put it bluntly. So I think there'll be a lot of hand-holding. I think Harry and Meghan are just going to kind of put their name to it in terms of the production, and then obviously Meghan will host whatever it is that's coming out there. I imagine celebrity friends, moaning, complaining. It's very much on brand for the Sussexes. So I thought that was important to mention. When will we be subjected to this new venture? Who knows, but I imagine this year. And I think it'll have a flurry, and then it'll flop, and then they'll just get dropped by this new venture as well. I wanted to talk about the use of Sussex.com as a website in general. So a lot of people are saying that they shouldn't use Sussex. I'm not so bothered about the Sussex part. At the moment, he is currently the Duke of Sussex, so it kind of makes sense. What surprised me more was that Sussex was available as a .com, because even long before, Harry became the Duke of Sussex on the occasion of his wedding to Meghan, Sussex has been, a town, well, not a town, an area in the UK, in Britain, in England, for thousands of years, in one way or another. So I can't imagine that since the internet, since people could start having .coms and buying domain names, I can't believe that nobody had Sussex.com already. That kind of boggles my mind. So I'm thinking Harry and Meghan may have had to buy it, like buy the .com. I don't know if it was previously led to a different website, maybe a business based in Sussex. I don't know. Could even have been, something pretty related to Sussex as an area. So I think they must have probably had to really get that domain name, and I think it must have cost them a bit to get that, because I can't believe that it was vacant even in 2018 or when they left and started buying different domain names. I can't believe that Sussex.com was available. I think there's been a little bit of it's probably acquired during murky circumstances, to put it bluntly. So that kind of was my main thought point on Sussex.com. I was like, well, are you sure it was even available? Well, they've got it. However they've managed to obtain it, they have it. But I'm not bothered about them using Sussex. Someone said, well, I think they hit back and said, well, Sussex is our surname. We use Sussex as a surname. Now, it is true that titled people use their titular designation of Sussex, of Cambridge, of York, of Wales as a surname, as a title holder, but it is not their actual surname. Their actual surname is Mountbatten Windsor, as we saw with Archie and Lilibet. That, originally before the Prince and Princess titles for that they were adopted. So no, it's they do have another surname, but whilst they are titled, they use of Sussex like a surname. So not quite right, Harry and Meghan, but keep trying, my loves. And that's another thing as well, prominently within the bios, mentioning Archie and Lilibet as Prince Archie, Prince Lilibet. Everything about this whole PR piece is most definitely geared towards royal, being royal. Now, I've got an article in front of me. I think I have probably spoken about most things in the article. I think I have. So, yes, I think they have crossed a line, and I think they are perilously close to there being a major turning point in how people think about the monarchy in terms of cutting Harry and Meghan loose completely and the monarchy remaining stable and in place. The more they push, the more liberties they try and take, the easier it is to undo them. And they are definitely playing that game, and the mood that I can sense is that it's changing. There is most definitely a changing mood. I can feel it. I can feel it in my waters. The mood is changing. The public perception is most definitely changing. And keep pushing, my loves. So Harry and Meghan also were not well, I don't know if they were invited or they couldn't afford it at the time, but they were not at the Super Bowl. Now, we saw maybe Meghan didn't want to be upstaged by Taylor Swift. That's my thoughts. I don't think she wanted to be upstaged by... As soon as she knew that Taylor Swift was coming, I think any thoughts of NFL completely went out of the window. I also think that they probably wanted grifted seats. They probably didn't want to pay for the seats. So I think it was 10,000 a seat, and they probably wanted a prominent box, and they probably wanted so many, guaranteed times that the camera was on their face, and they were probably told to go stuff it. And so they did. So we were not subjected to Harry and Meghan at the Super Bowl. I don't really watch NFL. It's not particularly big in the UK, but I know it's huge in the States. So it would have been, big PR promotion for Harry and Meghan, but for whatever reasons, they did not go. I think they didn't want to be upstaged by Taylor Swift. I also think they didn't want to pay for the seats. And this time, it shows that their gravitas is waning. So, maybe they would have, been given free things before. And I think those freebies might be beginning to dry up. So I don't think that shows good sort of, Hollywood sort of glitz and glam. I know the NFL isn't Hollywood, it's sports, but you know what I mean? Like that sort of glitz and glam pizzazz that they once had, I think is waning. And I think people's perception is, well, there are more important people or more lucrative people to give free seats away to. And Harry and Meghan are not flavour of the day. Meghan's upcoming podcast, it's mostly going to be a woke load of nonsense that's just so boring. And, I mean, for goodness sakes, let's just be thankful she can't sing, is all I'm going to say, because I'm sure we'd have Meghan the musical coming out where she stars as herself. Imagine like Liza Minnelli-esque, but with Meghan. Let's just be thankful. There is a God. Meghan can't sing. Hello, my name's Meghan. Yes, that's the sort of singing voice that I think Meghan must have. Anyway, I'm going to leave it here. I'm sure you've all got your thoughts, comments, opinions on Sussex.com. Do let me know in the comments section below. And did you spot all the different Valentine's related love symbols that I have going on in today's video? So happy Valentine's Day, wherever you may be. And if you don't have a Valentine's Day, well, tell them to go stuff it, is all I've got to say. You don't need no man. You can buy yourself your own flowers. Be more Miley, is all I've got to say. So for now, I'm signing out. Thank you for watching this video. If you've enjoyed it, please give it a big old thumbs up. Don't forget to share on social media. And of course, do hit the bell so that you know whenever I upload a new video. So from me, mwah, to you all, and goodbye.